had to get up to the mountain today. I canceled my clients today so I can get up in the mountain and film this. This will be Sasquatch Ramble number 3. And the thing I want to ramble about today is the idea of, what is a Sasquatch? It's a kind of a tough question. Before I kind of go on to that, I just finished teaching a class on who are you truly? And it's kind of funny because how I started the course with everybody was I posed the question to them, what is a human being? and of course, when I posed the question, all you could hear were crickets. Because people don't think about what it means to be a human being. People are just too busy doing, and most of us live our lives doing it instead of actually living it. And so I said to the class again, you guys come on, what is a human being? I mean, we got people in the class that are like 25 years old up to 70 years old, and you guys have been around for 25 years to 70 years. What is a bloody human being? Crickets, 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 crickets. No answer, no answer. So I thought, well, let's try a different strategy. So I said, okay, I'm an alien. I just came into the planet. I walk up to you and I say, hey, I'm from another planet, and I've heard that you're a human being. What is a human being? And then what people will more likely do is go into describing what a human being is. And the reason why we do that is because most of us don't really know what a human being is. Most of us aren't aware that, when you're born as a little baby, you've got approximately 2 trillion cells in your head that have navigated through your neural net. And your neural net's approximately 100,000 miles. That's not mind miles, that's actually miles of neural net pathways in your brain. And just in the development stage of something, it will take one cell to navigate 10,000 miles to get to another cell and make sure it connects with Johnny cell over here, not Mary cell over here, so that the brain can develop the way it's supposed to. And then it keeps developing in the body, where you end up having over 200 trillion other cells. And if all those cells have connected with other cells, then the good thing about that is you're going to have more resources in your body to navigate through life. However, if they don't connect with the right cells, what ends up happening is your development can be neurological, biological, physiological. Parts of your body won't have the full, I guess, box you would get from the big box stores of being born for later on in life, and it can cause some, some pretty confusing times for you. So when you get back to the concept of, when someone asks you, well, Leon, what's a Sasquatch? Well, the bottom line is I have no idea what a Sasquatch is. And the reason why is I'm not a Sasquatch. I'm a human being. I know what a human being is because I am one from the inside out. I can certainly describe what a human being does because I'm a human being and I see human beings. And I think that's part of the way of when you're looking at the question of, what is a Sasquatch? Well, the bottom line is you should be answering, I have no idea what a Sasquatch is. I certainly can tell you what I think a Sasquatch behaves like. If I mentioned before that I am a mammal and I am an animal as a human being, but I have a higher conscience availability to us, and I think that's a fair thing to incorporate when you think about Sasquatches. Is they are mammals and they are animals, but they have certainly seem to have a higher conscience availability to themselves to go through their existence. You throw in the idea also that they're nocturnal, at least in my opinion. I think most of the time Sasquatches are navigating at nighttime, not during the day. And if you're one of the fortunate ones who happen to see it through the day, you happen to be at the right time, at the right space, or right place. And that's a rare thing, I think, in regards to most reports. So the idea about understanding what a Sasquatch is, it's going to take us some time, and I want to just kind of do a bit of a segue here. As strange as this is, I really believe that we're the generation that's going to prove their existence. And there's a few reasons for that. One is technology. And secondly is we haven't got our shit together yet. But the idea is we certainly have a pool of citizen researchers out there. Now, the only drawback about that is we're not organized enough. In other words, we don't have a central location database area where we can send all of our information to. And so when people go online, they can actually fill out what they're seeing, what they have, what was in the area, what was the temperature, what time of year was it, what time was it, what was the encounter all about, was there a smell in the area, what was the location, what was the environment. And if we can get that down the road, developed and created, so everybody who sorry, I paused there because I thought if we could just get rid of the internal politics in the BF community, that would be another big bonus. But if everyone could draw that resource together and start putting it into stuff, then it would be helpful for us to understand what we're looking for. Listen, I totally believe that we're the generation that's going to find this thing. I shouldn't say thing because that's kind of disrespectful to me, but a Sasquatch. I think we have the capacity to do that. One of the other problems too, though, is we're not asking ourselves the right questions. When I talk about systems theory, the idea about systems theories is you have all the concepts and the ideas down here, so you're not attached to the thoughts of the systems that are down here, the belief systems about different Sasquatches. And when you can look at it from a neutral position, you can start going through the evidence in each of those schools with critical thinking, which isn't about criticizing, it's really about assessing all the information to see what the consistency is. Look, there's also been a lot of great people who have done that, but I'm finding them in fragmentations in regards to being online instead of one pool. So anybody who's starting off has a hard time of navigating because there's so many voices coming from these different systems, and it's hard for them, because I've went through this myself, going through hundreds or thousands of videos, and it's very time consuming. Let's see what I was going to say about that. The right question for me would be is, I come across a few people that I've talked to that, listen, they say we have a lot of activity in the area, and so when you look at people who are suggesting that they have a lot of activity in the area, or they hear a lot of wood knocks, it seems to be a lot of vocals. The key part for me is if I pose this question to you, and I really do mean this, posing this question to you, and I want you to think out of the box. If you had all the resources you possibly would need, you know, what is it that you would need to get this, get a Bigfoot or Sasquatch on film? And think out of the box. Listen, we're the most dominant intellectual species on the planet. We've figured out a lot of crazy stuff scientifically. We've gone to the moon, unless you're a moon conspiracy guy, but we've figured out a lot of stuff in regards to medical stuff, physiological stuff, how the earth works, how the world works, and that's our generation. Our generation can figure this one out too. The idea of what I'm talking about is if a person has a higher area where there's a lot of activity, and what the problem seems to be is hiding concealment from a Sasquatch's perspective, meaning that they can always see us, but we can never see them. They have a capacity to keep at just a distance. So to me, one of the first things would be, what is the area that you're in where you're having high density experiences? Secondly, what would you need? What would you need? Well, you want to film them. Well, what are you going to need to film them? More than likely, a FLIR camera of something to see them at nighttime. What else are you going to need? Well, if you can't see them, you have to get higher sight. In other words, drones. And I put this out a few times to people, and I don't know if they think I'm kidding or whatever, but listen, I think out of the box. I don't let no stop me. The idea about using a military quality drone or something of that sort, and yes, I get it. Well, how are we going to pay for that? Listen, there's other ways. I've had that question posed to me my whole life about how are we going to pay for this? I don't care how we're going to pay for it. Let's figure it out. We can figure this out. And when you find a location, and again, I'm going to throw this challenge out to you. If you have a location that has high activity in it, I want you while you're there thinking, what would I need to really get these things on film? And if you want to message me or email me at Bigfoot Okanagan, that's great. Send me that information. I get all that, how difficult it is. You guys get how difficult it is. So we have to think of a solution about what the problem is. And I know some people will be watching and say, oh, here we go, here's this new guy, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not a new guy in this issue. I've been studying it for a lot of years. I just happen to be online being new with it. I certainly have resources most people don't have. And I don't think it's impossible for us to navigate to answer finally the question, what is a Sasquatch? But we're going to have to be pretty clever about the whole thing and up our game, which is what I mentioned in regards to closing off 2017, my last kind of discussion, is about all of us upping our game up. What is it do you really need as resources to track these things down? Now, I have a strategy in my head that I'm working on right now. It's going to take me a while to develop it, but the idea is if you have a location where there's high activity of Sasquatches, if they're there, you have a location. It might be a 20-mile by 50-mile area, but at least you have it. The idea is to get it slowly closed in, and also to get them to move into a certain location. And like all tracking animals, or all animals that have, when you look at Sasquatches, the idea about their location, besides the northeast side of mountain ranges, is also they need to have corridors to escape. So if you can find the right location with the right corridor that can be managed, in other words, it's not a huge corridor, it's one where they can stay in hide and concealment, and you can place up the cameras in the right location on that, and almost kind of navigate a group of people to push them through that area. I'm not talking about scaring them, I'm not talking about hurting them, I'm just talking hurting them. Hurting them, yes. I think like all of us, mammals and animals, we would like to stay out of range and into safety. And when we come into their areas, yes, if we're alone, they're going to stand their ground. But if you come with a group of people, not in a threatening way, but certainly in a way where they're realizing that they're being pushed out. I know perfectly well that there's been a lot of you guys who I know who have been pushed out of an area. Let's try the same strategy back to them, just to see where it goes. Now there's lots I'm going to say about this. I'm going to be actually going down to the States. I'll be in Colorado, Ohio, and down in the Utah area in June. I'm heading off to the coast to Vancouver, and also to Mission, where that Bigfoot sighting was online. I'll post that link on here, and I'm going to go exactly to where that Bigfoot was on that little island. I know where that lake is, where that was filmed. So the idea is to really up your game in regards to thinking out of the box. If you had no limits and you had tons of resource, if the government was behind you, if science was behind you, what would you need, you guys? Think about it. Really solidly think about it. And make sure you get back to me on what you would think you would need. I'm not saying we're going to solve it right away. Like I said, my strategy plan to do this is going to take some while. It's going to take some people. It's going to certainly take some resources. And I'm talking high quality resources, not just Mickey Mouse stuff. So getting back to the question of what is a Sasquatch, we don't know what a Sasquatch is. We have all these ideas, but we don't know what a Sasquatch is because we don't live as Sasquatches. But let's get a little closer to answering that question. That would be fabulous. And I think it would also, vindicate a lot of people who have seen Sasquatches and have been ridiculed. I don't share my experience with what I've seen in regards to Sasquatch. And I've seen them in the open, and I've seen them as plain as day. Did I film it? Well, no, because this was a while back before I had all this great technology that we get to carry around with ourselves. One day I will share that story. I've shared it with a couple of people, but the reason why I didn't share it was because I got ridiculed for it. And I find most people that contact me in regards to their sighting, man, it's embarrassing for them. It's not that they don't want to talk about it, but it certainly is embarrassing for them. And some of us are go-getters and we'll be happy to share it, and that's great. But the idea is to answer the question, what is a Sasquatch? I don't think we know yet. And I think, to be fair about it, that's okay to answer that question that way, but I certainly seem to know certain things about them, and that's fair too. Okay, so that's Sasquatch Ramble number 3 for 2018, and I look forward to showing you guys the structure video. I'm just about done it. I'm coming from 3 or 4 different angles. One of the reasons I'm up on the mountain right now, that's the valley behind me, is I'm trying to get up to this mountain behind you. I've tried it from 3 different directions, but the snowpack is 143% higher this year, and it's broken records. So there's going to be flooding in the valley behind me, and to get up there, just up the road up here, it's solid ice, and the snow's the side up to the height of the side of my doors of my car, and the turnaround is the width of my car. So just about got stuck up there, but made enough sense. If you feel a little nervous about something, stop yourself. You can always go back to the area later instead of getting yourself in a predicament you can't handle. Anyways, guys, I hope you have a really good week this week, and really think about the question. Think out of the box. We can do this. We can do it. Why can't we do this? There's thousands of us out there. Let's open our ideas out. We get the negative side. We get the internal politics that's in the BF community. There's some really good people out there that are doing really good stuff. Support those people. If we need to, contact BFRO and see if we can upgrade their website. Appreciate their website. Don't get me wrong, you guys. But a website that, with technology, especially with programming technology right now, where we can fill out forms directly online, but it goes into very specific stuff. So if we are looking as researchers, we can just plug into their library and that stuff pops up. They've got good stuff on there, but it just needs to be upgraded a little bit. Time is a factor for all of us. I don't do this full time. I'm actually filming 10-part video series. I'm not filming them, thank goodness. Other people are filming them of me. You know, I do this as a hobby, as a adventure to get me out of the brain of people, because I'm in people's brains all year long. Gets me out in the bush. Again, I think we're the generation that can figure this one out. And I hope you guys do too. Have a good week, you guys. Talk to you soon.